Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Hey, I decided to do a continuation of um, your problem is the programming. Need to talk a little bit more about how to change the program. Number one, to recognize the programming, and then how to go about changing it. But part of what we have to understand and realize is that for a bare minimum of 12 years, you went to a school. Um, you would go to a class, a bell would ring, you would change subjects when the bell rings. They would ring a bell and tell you when you're hungry for lunch, and then the end of lunch, and then the rest of the day, and all these bells. So you've gone through minimum of 12 years of this, a lot of us 16 years of this. You've also been taught during that time frame that the only time you're allowed to do any sort of collaboration is on special projects and labs. So, any other time that you decided to collaborate and work together, in most cases, it was considered cheating. And after you've gone through 12, 16, 20, 20 plus years of this sort of a system and being trained and programmed, now you wonder why it is now that you're in the real world and you're working in the workforce that you have problems working with coworkers. Think about this, folks. You've gone through the majority of your training supposedly doing it by yourself, doing your work yourself, and then you're thrown into a work situation where you must work with other people. Of course you're going to have challenges because you was never really taught to work with people the majority of the time that you were in your educational training years. So when we start to really analyze what it is that we've gone through and think about it, now we have to go back and reprogram ourselves. And the best way that I could reprogram myself, which, well, fortunately, because it was a habit that my father and my parents and my father and mother taught me, was always to do reading, 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 reading. And now, once I had gotten out of formal schooling or traditional schooling, it was about reading things that would help me. And that's where personal development comes in. Read tons of personal development books. And that's the one thing that I appreciate about network marketing. I was in that space for a very long time. That, limited success, but the greatest thing that came out of it was the personal development. And reading those things that really challenged me and expanded my mindset. There's a lot of really good books out there on any sort of subject that you could really want to learn about. So, I did a lot of reading dealing with personalities and other people, the way people think. Um, Even coming out of school, I spent a lot of time in sales management, in various industries, which helped me to understand that other people don't necessarily see the things the way that I see them. Actually, if you meet 3 out of 4 people, they're going to have a totally different perspective than yours. So, guess what? You got to learn how to communicate to that other perspective. You've got to learn to empathize with that other perspective. Um, and I just find it real interesting that the two most important things that we need in life, they don't teach us in school. And that's number one, about relationships, how to have successful relationships. What is a relationship? I even think about my 13-year-old daughter right now, and overhearing some of her conversations on her video chats with her friends, and they talking about relationships and this, that, and the other. I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, I digress. Um, but relationships is the most important thing, in my opinion, because a relationship, if you don't have the money, or if you don't have money, a relationship can get you money. A relationship can get you through doors that money can't get you through. Even when you have a whole lot of money in certain situations, if you don't have a relationship, you're still not going to get through certain doors. And then the other thing that they don't teach is how money works, you know, and that's all aspects of money, all the things that affect money. They do not teach that as part of the regular core curriculum at, school. And these are two basic skills, or two basic skill categories that you need in order to survive, in order to live life. Something I learned a long time ago, it was not just uh, what you know, but who you know, right? But I learned at least 15 years ago that you had to take it another step further. It's not just what you know and who you know, but who knows you. What sort of a reputation do you have? Slash brand is what they call it now. What is your brand? Are you known as being a partier? Are you known as being a jokester? Are you known as being, whatever it is? Everybody has a particular reputation or brand. And based upon your brand is what other people will or will not do for you, or know how far to take you. And what sort of endorsement they're going to give you. So, getting back to how do you change the programming? The only way that I've really found to change the programming is to do a lot of reading about other people's lives, people who have had success, the challenges that they went through. You start to understand that, it's all a process and it takes time. None of this stuff really happens overnight. The only way it happens overnight for somebody, if they have a strong mentor, which is a recurrent theme, folks, for 2023. But again, that mentor had to spend the time, or their mentor, your mentor's mentor, had to spend the time. But somebody had to put in the time, and there's no way around putting in the time. Somebody's going to have to do it. But doing a lot of reading, and then also getting out of your comfort zone. Get out of your own way. Get out. Start talking to people, meeting people of different backgrounds, different life experiences, and talking with them. That's how you also start to realize and expand your knowledge base, because yes, your own perspective on things is true, your reality is true, but guess what? It may not necessarily be the truth. And I'm gonna end this with a little bit of a story. I'm not sure if you've ever heard the story of the blind man and the elephant. So what you have is, there was this blind man, and they were interacting with an elephant for the first time. So the first blind man walked up to the elephant and touched it, or grabbed its trunk. And the blind man said, an elephant is like a snake. Another blind man walked up on the elephant and touched its ear. He said, no, an elephant's like a fan. Another one walked up, touched its leg. He said, no, an elephant is like a tree trunk. Another blind man walked up and touched the side of the elephant. And when he touched the side of the elephant, he said, no, an elephant is like a wall. Another one happened to touch the tusk. And that blind man said, no, an elephant is like a spear. And then the last blind man happened to walk up on the tail. And he said, no, an elephant is like a rope. Well, guess what? They were all right and they were all wrong. And that's something that we have to consider, especially being in the United States right now. We're afraid to have discussions and conversations that go deeper than the surface because we want to be right and we want somebody else to be wrong. But those blind men, all of them were right and wrong at the same time because they didn't take the whole totality of this situation into play. But again, you know, it's hard to go out here and really look for truth and to seek truth because what I found is a lot of stuff that I thought was true, I found out wasn't. And most of us want to be right, we want to be comfortable, and, us being wrong or us having to do a lot of work in order to search things out, we really normally don't have the time for that. But again, it's a continuation of, the problem is your programming. Um, like I said, the biggest thing that I found out is reading. Reading, reading, reading. They say leaders are readers. It will open you up. And then also getting out of your comfort zone, experiencing different things, going to different cities, going to different countries, all those sorts of things. So again, like, subscribe, comment, share. Follow me on Instagram at Credit Maximization. Also follow me on Instagram at Max Success for Life, number 4, Life, Max Success for Life. And I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed, and prosperous day. Peace.